Hi, I'm Brandon Walker, heart and soul of the Unnecessary Roughness podcast. 2 hours ago, we recorded and talked diligently and at length about Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern. Could he get fired? Would he get fired? Will he get fired? We talked about that. Oh, it was a good discussion. 20 minutes or so. And we weighed the merits of it. We weighed everything that he's done, alleged to do, stuff like that. But he just now got fired. It just happened. He has been fired. Pat Fitzgerald, who's been at Northwestern some 20 years, Northwestern legend as a player and now as a coach, has been fired for alleged hazing, for alleged, I believe today it came out that there was alleged racism problems in the program 15, 16 years ago. I don't know about all the evidence and when it's going to come out, where it's going to come out. I don't know about any of that stuff. I didn't report on it, and I wasn't a part of it. However, Northwestern apparently believes there's enough there. There's enough fire where there's smoke. There's enough there to make a change and make him not the coach of the football program anymore. So I assume over the next 24 to 48 hours, we will have more information come out about what led to the firing, stuff like that. But as of right now, we just know that he has been fired, and it is obviously due to the storm of allegations this weekend. Now, my son, if you can just hold on as I finish this video, and then I'll get your hot dog off the grill. So here's the thing. We now do 2 shows a week. So on Wednesday, we record again. We'll have a full reaction to it. It's pretty shocking to me, and we'll let the facts develop. We'll let everything develop, and we'll see where we are on Wednesday. But Fitzgerald has been fired. Now enjoy this discussion on the merits of whether he should be fired or not. I love you all.
Welcome back, Katie.
Thank you. I've been doing 2 weeks of catch-up, and it's a nice problem to have, but it's a lot. I sit now upstairs next to Kelly Martin's team.
Looked fun at Pinehurst. I wasn't allowed to go.
I didn't know you golfed. Besides, like, your driving range.
I'm sorry. Do I have multiple videos that have gone over 1 million?
Driving range is different than playing 18 holes.
Do I have
Absolutely
multiple videos over 1 million with me hitting a golf ball? Yes or no?
Did I
Yes.
not say what I just said?
They're very deceiving, though, because you do them at night.
You're deceiving. You ever think about that?
Do you see what
That's
the
possible.
yak put out?
That's a fair response. That being said, you know what's also deceiving, to bring you back on my side? Josh Pate does the same thing when he hits softballs. Like, he makes it seem like he hits some 800 feet. No, they just go into the night.
Y'all know I'm in the mud with softball TikTok.
Softball
Oh, yeah.
TikTok?
What?
For
I'm in
men's
the mud
soft
with
league pitch.
men's softball TikTok because
Oh,
on
yes,
Pick Central a couple
yes.
weeks ago, I went out and said, men's softball is the dumbest thing that we do in this country. It takes little skill to hit a ball that's lobbed to you softly, and these guys take it way too seriously. Wear the long pants, the spikes, everything. It's just crazy. Well, some of those guys have TikTok accounts, and one guy, I swear to God, has added me like 3 times, challenging me to come out to California and catch a ball that he hit. And to prove how good he is, to prove how awesome he is at hitting a softball, did he hit a softball lob to him? No. He put a softball on a tee and hit it as hard as he could. Said, Brandon Walker, come catch this. It's bad enough that you got a fat guy lobbing it to you. Now you got to put it on a tee. I'd have to wear a dress to play in that fucking league. So no, I just can't. I can't believe I'm in the mix because of TikTok.
I'm in the mix with roller coaster TikTok right now. Well, not right now, this past week, because I said, like, if you go on roller coasters over the, like, you're an adult.
I will refute this.
Because be an adult, because, I mean, did you see the one in North Carolina? There were
was
so
broken.
many roller coaster incidents, and I said, I'm anti-roller coaster, and I will never go on one. It's not worth the risk. And then there was like a roller coaster podcast that really came at me hard.
I'm going.
Time, Katie.
Roller coaster podcast.
Yeah. There's a roller coaster podcast?
Yes.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like it's a good podcast because they probably have ridden the fucking coolest roller coasters.
I mean, this is the cool thing about TikTok is they, like, your niche and the thing that you find cool, there's a bunch of people out there that also find it cool. So, I mean, the guy goes around and goes on all of the roller coasters. And then also, I would assume, I think he interviews like roller coaster creators and stuff. I mean, it's like more power to him, but I will always be anti-roller coaster.
Katie, I'm with you. I still will ride roller coasters.
I
love them.
A weekend or tickets to Six Flags over the weekend to go in August. I won't be I'm not like a Disney person, but I like roller coasters. I think it's good once a year.
Disney's the only place that I would trust. Six Flags, no. They're
not like Universal.
Universal.
You wouldn't trust like Six Flags over Texas?
No, it's a nihilistic 17-year-old running the
You're thinking of, like,
roller
county fairs
coaster.
that pop
No,
up
no,
and
no,
go
like
for hours.
Just break out nihilistic for this?
yes, because it's a 17-year-old who doesn't give a shit about their life, and they're just like, "Yep, oh, you're good to go," and then they don't put you on, and you go flying.
That is a good point, because when I see the workers, I'm like, how trained are they really?
They hate the word,
but here's
they're
the
like
thing.
pop punk.
No,
like,
hold on. Here's the thing. Jack's a big fat pussy.
Well, I would
That's
say
what the
here,
thing is.
I'm gonna get on that roller
that's
coaster.
what all the
Jack,
roller coaster guys were saying.
Jack.
They kept calling me a pussy.
If I'm gonna die on a roller coaster, I'm gonna die on a roller coaster.
No.
I'm not gonna not live my life because
Jack,
I'm scared to die.
I got a spoiler alert for you. I got a spoiler alert for you. You're going to die. That's going to happen, Jack.
Yes,
Now,
but-
Brandon, when I say what I just said when we're on the private plane, you get mad. So
Because you say it on the plane.
But if he dies in a roller coaster at a major company, his family will get millions
true.
in a
Hold on.
That-
We got to go back for a second to what she just said. Because this crazy motherfucker, she will not discuss planes or plane crashes ever in her life until you get her up in a private plane. That's what she wants to talk about. What if this plane crashes? Bitch, this ain't the time.
It is. First of all, that is not how I bring it up. I just said that if I had to choose, like if I had to choose how I was going to die, obviously dying in my sleep naturally and peacefully would be the way to go. But if you fall out of the sky in a private plane or a helicopter or something like that, there's no like, oh, you might be in a wheelchair. You're just dead.
Wasn't the argument
Right.
as long as you're not in the plane with Dave Portnoy, because then you're going to be the others?
Yeah, it's
I
always.
forget who I had this conversation
It's
with.
yeah. I was part of that
Yeah.
because it's from Entourage when it's like when Johnny Chase says he doesn't want to be in a plane with his brother because he was always worried it was going to be Vinny Chase and brother Parrish. Now he's like, I am sure that it'll be Vinny Chase and Johnny Chase. It's going to be Dave Portnoy and other employees.
Guys, all our life forever as human beings has been trying to mitigate and reduce risk and to continue to live so you can reproduce and then continue on your lineage and also enjoy life. God told me when I was 5 years old, I went on a roller coaster and I got really sick and really scared and I started crying. That was a sign from God to never go on a roller coaster ever again, and I never have, never will. I skipped birthday parties when I was in 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th, 3rd grade. All right? I know I just went 5, 6, 7, 4, 3. And
I'm crying.
and I'm just saying, guys, I'm anti-roller coaster until I die. And you saying, oh, I'm just going to die? No, guys, a lot of times these roller coasters, they get stuck for 10 hours upside down. It happened recently.
I want to go on
Hold on,
Kingdom
hold
when
on.
it goes in reverse.
Hold on a second. Brandon, I think you had the same reaction that I did. We've been doing this podcast for however many years, and we're just now hearing that God has told Jack to not ride roller coasters. I feel like this is
God
something that
spoke to
should've-
him. God, when Jack was 5 years old, God reached down from the heavens and said, son, you're a pussy. Don't get on roller coasters anymore.
But he got sick, so I think he's not cut out for roller coasters. You either have the stomach for it or don't.
I've gotten sick in a car before. I'm still going to get in another one.
There's a purpose to
I
a
don't-
car.
I don't do the fireball. Like the hanging upside down is a no.
There's a.
There are so many people watching this, listening to this right now. They're like, and here we go again. Now we're talking about God and roller coasters, not college football.
All right.
All right. So,
God, country football, roller coasters, God, football.
I want to talk quarterbacks today. You want to talk quarterbacks?
And this is officially the start of the beginning of the college football season because we're 2 episodes a week, baby.
We're back 2 episodes a
2
week.
episodes a week.
Until the first week, and then we go 3. So
it is ramping up time.
You got us again. This would be. Is this our 5th season?
Is it our
19, 20, 21, 22.
It's our 6th. You
3.
and I.
You always say that, Casey. Like this
No.
this whole thing didn't start when I got here, okay?
No,
nothing that happened before I got here matters. Y'all
All right.
got
Except for this entire feed.
Yeah.
This entire feed.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
you know.
So, yeah, you started the feed. The feed didn't get to fed until I got here.
I
Okay?
also want to say, with the start of the season, I appreciate all of we maintained. Our last year was a record year. It's always a record year for us in terms of listenership. But a lot of you stayed during the offseason. Our offseason episodes did better than last year's offseason episodes.
Let's
So
go.
thank you to the Roughnecks.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
don't
And
leave.
if you're
Keep
listening, right now, go to YouTube and subscribe. We want to build that
yeah,
part up.
podcast. If you're watching, go to podcast and subscribe.
Good call. Good call.
All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by. Sorry, I got to go there for a second.
High Noon.
Oh, High Noon was made for the summer. It's just 4th of July, like it's synonymous with summer. I'm not saying that it's not a winter drink either, but during the summer, High Noon comes out to play.
Well, the pool pack is the one that we're on again because obviously a lot of people are spending time in bodies of water because it's hot as hell outside, and it's the lime, the guava, the kiwi, the peach is the pool pack, but you've got the variety pack, the original pack, you've got the tequila, you've got the lemon that it's slept on, Jack.
We've really, because High Noon's been with us from the beginning, we've gone, I remember when there was only 4 flavors. Now, it has its own different drink. I'm sure they have more plans for new things. I don't know because we're not in those meetings, but
I do know. Ooh. They have a plan. So we shot the High Noon commercial a couple weeks ago, and Dave was there because, Dave is High Noon. And I do know that there will be new flavors coming. I've been told the rumors of what they are. Very excited. But Mikey Grinnell, randomly, Spittin' Chicklets just now gave us a compliment he didn't even realize. We were talking about this podcast, and Katie said something about going to grab a High Noon pack, and he was like, weren't you guys like the OG High Noon podcast? And I was like, the fact that you remember that is great, but yes, we were. We were like the introduction of High Noon into...
And we almost...
Don't do it. High Noon, you know where to get them. Go to Drizly, go to your local store. They're everywhere. The 4th of July was last week. I hope you enjoyed your holidays.
Summer.
It is still summer. I get yelled at whenever I get excited about college football. Because after the 4th of July, we've said it on this podcast, after the 4th of July, it feels like it's the slow ramp up to college football. We've got media days coming up. I said there's only 7 Saturdays left until college football. And the amount of people that are like, hey, yeah, that's great, but don't wish the summer away. I get it. I'm more of a fall, winter fan.
Yeah, and also,
I'm wishing it away.
We're enjoying this time, but we want to get to college football.
And
we're a college football podcast.
Yes. And
but
so
we'll still be here throughout the summer.
We'll still be here, and the tailgate pack will be hidden. Everything will be great. The High Noon.
Pool pack.
All of them. High Noon.
Sun Sips. Get yours.
Get yours. HighNoonSunSips.com. Get yours today. Brandon, are you...
I thought somebody called my name over there, but I guess they didn't. All right. Hey, how you guys doing?
I am good.
How's the Midwest?
Oh my God. Brandon sent me a photo.
Oh, no.
No, let me show. I was like, is this your backyard?
Oh, is it one of all the groundhogs?
No, I'm like.
Oh, I looked up everything on Redfin. It's insane. It's a beautiful house.
But this is just his children in his backyard. Why would you ever?
This is why I believe
not live where you're living.
Brandon tweeted out, "Going to be so much Midwest Brandon is going to be so much nicer." I wholeheartedly believe it.
Katie,
New York City ruins, gets people angry.
If that's your backyard and that's what your kids are doing every day, you have no reason to be an asshole because your kids are going to be nice every day.
All right, relax, okay? But Katie, Midwest Brandon's going to be a lot gentler, a lot nicer because Midwest Brandon is something that New York City Brandon was never. Happy. The people are better out here. The weather's better. I get to go fishing every day. I am happy. I'm happy.
Well, the weather is better now. The weather will not be.
We don't make money off you being happy. I'm just going to say that.
I saw that. I saw. That's why I called your name because I saw the dissatisfaction in your eyes. I saw the disdain when I said I was happy. You didn't like that at all.
No, we're just the athletic now, just happy go lucky.
Right. Jack, he's happy until the college football show starts again, and then Dave just shits on him the whole time. So don't worry, he'll be upset.
Is the pepperoni pizza better out there?
They were under the cheese. That's where they were.
Okay, so I saw that. Do you guys see what he posted?
Yeah,
yes.
People were so mad at him for that.
That was really people got offended. I just thought it was funny.
Weird.
I thought it was funny that there
Me
was.
too. It was
very funny. We just got done talking about roller coaster TikTok. People get mad about everything these days.
There's a TikTok for everything, and how do you get into roller coaster TikTok? Because I can understand getting into college football TikTok. I can understand getting into pro football TikTok. How do you become a member of a nuanced one like roller coasters? You just love them that much?
I grew up. My it's computer game of choice was Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Me too. I love that.
I loved that.
I love it. I'll play it.
Wait, time, Katie, time. You hypocritical bastard. You like setting up. I'm talking to Jack right now. You're scared to go on roller coasters yourself, but you'll make money and profit on a tycoon on a simulator by sending other people up to their death?
You can kill people on that game.
I was 9 to 10 years old. It was like the
But God spoke to you when you were 5.
I know, but I didn't go on the roller coasters ever. It didn't matter where I went.
But you have no problem sending up Sims to go up and to their death.
Yeah, it's like Mark Zuckerberg doesn't let his kids go on their phone, but he doesn't have any problem with like the random plebs throughout society doing whatever he controls them like little like plebs. And then you see, he doesn't have any issue with that, but when it comes to his kids, he's like, no, they're not getting any technology.
I'm almost certain it's plebes, not plebs, right?
I was going to ask, is it plebes or plebs?
Well, I'm calling them plebs.
NPCs? What's a plebe and NPC?
I mean, it's very similar, like terminology.
Fair. I don't know.
Like they're bots.
There's a lot of that online terminology I just don't understand. Like NPC, I don't know what that is.
NPC would be somebody that is just like, when you play video games and there's people that NPCs are the people in the crowd in the NCAA football games.
Okay.
They have no emotions. They're not real people.
It's not like another player in the game that you can't control.
It's non-playable.
All right.
Oh,
you just set me. I'd like to pat myself on the back. You guys just set me up where I could have gone on a Succession quote rant just now, and I didn't do it. Congratulations to me.
Very proud of you.
Look at you. I don't know what getting red pilled means.
Okay.
Red pill, blue pill?
I know what the being red pilled is.
Are you getting red pilled right now?
No.
To be honest, I don't know what being gaslit means.
Oh, that's
gaslit's very like.
How do you not know what gaslighting is?
You gaslight. You are a gaslighter.
People.
I'll talk to Jack here. Am I a gaslighter, Jack?
I wouldn't say you're particularly a gaslighter. A gaslighter would be if.
I can think of a very specific example of how he is a gaslighter.
If like Casey was saying to me, "Oh, I'm in a great mood" and whatnot, and then you would go to Casey and be like, "Why are you acting like that? Like you're in a really bad mood," and you almost are tricking them, making them feel insane, or also say like. It happens a lot in relationships and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. So there's an actual like play about it to where it's basically there was a gaslight that the husband was just tweaking a little bit. And then the wife would be like, the light is changing. The light is dimmer. The light is brighter. And he would say, no, it's not. You're crazy. And then he would go change it again. And she would say, see it change. And he's like, no, it's not. You're crazy. So that would be gaslighting, making somebody else think that they're crazy or they're wrong when you're just making them think that because you're telling them
like
that.
I got the pool packs today and I came in and they weren't here, like, Jack, why didn't you get them? Like,
and then
Brandon, you're a gaslighter sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, I regret bringing that up. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to talk college football.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk a little bit of college football news, like Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, the things that he's going through right now, that program's going through. We'll talk about a little bit of news, but not a whole lot going on. I originally had this idea. Let's do our top 10 quarterbacks for 2023. But then you get into the mix where you rank the ones returning and you don't rank the ones by the end of the year, like the Carson Becks or the guys who will be there at the end of the year. So it gets difficult. So I thought a better ranking is the 10 most intriguing quarterbacks this year, meaning guys that we haven't seen do it before, meaning guys who are in new situations, just whatever's intriguing about the quarterback and his situation, those 10 players, that's who I want to talk about, because who's the best returning quarterback in college football? It's Caleb Williams. There's no drama there. Now, if you want to rank, you go further, Michael Penix is going to be up high, Bo Nix, but there's not a whole lot of drama in that ranking, whereas intriguing, I feel like we could have 4 lists of 10 and all 4 be kind of different.
I struggled. So my 1 through 4 or 5 were very easy. 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, I had to think about it, look it up. 8, 9, 10, and then almost up to 20. I could do a sliding scale and put anything anywhere. Like Spencer Rattler had some great moments. It's very streaky. I'm not going to put him. Yeah. But I could argue him anywhere from 8 to 20.
Well,
I don't know if it was easy. 1 through 10 was.
The thing is, on the original ranking, where it was just the top 10 returning quarterbacks, I had 0 SEC guys.
My 10,
0,
my
wow.
top 10 was done in the way that this is going to be the top 10 quarterbacks at the end of the season. Then we changed it to intriguing.
You know what?
But my
We should do that.
my one that was, this is the top 10 at the end, had I think 2 SEC quarterbacks. One at number 2, which is the guy that I'm the highest on, obviously.
I don't know when we started it last year, but we did like all the graphics of all the previews for every conference. We should do what you just said and like actually put it like on, on record and say, these are the guys. Like if we go back in December and January and look at that list, that's what it would look like.
Like obviously Michael Penix right now, if we were making a rankings based on actual play, would be higher than like a Carson Beck. But on my list, I think Penix 4 and then Carson Beck 2. But that's a prediction going forward.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get to those lists, and then I have a 2-minute drill for you guys.
Okay.
Isn't that exciting for everybody? I think the biggest news item in college football right now is happening at Northwestern, not 20 miles away from me right now, down in Evanston. But so Pat Fitzgerald has been the coach there forever. Has, frankly, I think, enjoyed one of the runs as one of the most unimpeachable coaches in college football, one of the most respected coaches in college football. He is just somebody that you look at and you think, okay, well, that program's run the right way. As long as he's there, they're not going to be bad for long. And they certainly had peaks and valleys. But now, for the first time, at least in my opinion, under Fitzgerald, there's some outside smoke, or there's some smoke from inside the program about hazing, inappropriate sexual hazing of freshmen, inappropriate hazing of players on the team. Then even today, this was reported on Saturday, and as it goes further along, you get more and more reports coming out. I believe the student newspaper today released or reported that 3 players from back in 2007, 2008 were alleging racial discrepancies within the program and stuff like that. So, we've seen program strife before, and these things bubble up. But if you made me write a list of the 5 coaches I didn't think this would ever happen to, I think Fitzgerald would be at the top of that list. Casey, I've talked a lot and said nothing. What do you make of the of everything going on in Northwestern right now?
I think it's really surprising for everything that you just said, because when you look at the Northwestern job and, when they have a down year, which, for a while it was like they would have a good year and then they'd have a down year, and they'd have a good year and they'd have a down year. And, when they would have down years, fans of Northwestern would say like, oh, well, is Fitzgerald the guy? It's like, what do you expect to get it at Northwestern? You're going to have a good year. And you also assume that he seems to be a good guy. He's running a, clean program. Now, I don't think any college football program is completely clean, but the fact that there have been things going on, when you mentioned like 2007, 2008, it's a long time ago. And for those things to actually be bubbling up to the surface just now is the most surprising thing, because it's 2023. You can't get away with anything anymore. And if it's been going on for his entire tenure, that shocks me.
But let's be honest. This happens at every program.
Right.
But why is it coming out just now, though?
Why is it coming?
That's where
this
I'm
is
more
coming
surprised.
out because Northwestern has a lot of ambitious young journalists that go to the Medill School that they found a story and they ran with it. It's great. I'm not saying that because everyone does it, it excuses it, but why it bubbled up is somebody at Northwestern probably got the scoop from a guy that they knew on the team, the guy that they were quoting and whatnot, the anonymous player. And then they brought it to the Daily NU, which is the best student-ran newspaper out there. Maybe there's a few others, but it's top of the top. And the least surprising thing to me is that it happened at Northwestern because of their student journalism program. It's a lot of young, incredibly ambitious journalists that are looking for big stories, and that's a big story.
If you want to be a journalist, you go to Northwestern.
Yeah.
And
Northwestern, Syracuse, Missouri, any of those 3 probably.
Yeah, exactly.
And then today, there was 3 players from 2007, 2008 speaking under anonymity, said there were racial discrepancies in the program. To that I say, that's a very serious charge, and if it's true, that's a huge problem. But also, yesterday, I think the entire Northwestern football team signed a paper or stood together and said, hey, no, this is not happening under this coach. We're good with what's happening under this coach. And when you throw out allegations, if you talk about 3 guys that played 15 years ago that might not have been happy with their playing time, might not have been happy with this, might not have been happy with that, or maybe there were racial problems in the program. But to jump to a conclusion as soon as a report comes out is very, very dangerous. And I think there's a lot if a coach coaches somewhere 20, 25 years, and at the end of the day, 3 or 4 players want to come forward against him, I don't know that rings that many alarm bells with me.
There's also a report that, again, I think Jack knows this probably better than I do. It seemed that one of the guys who was saying a lot of stuff told someone else at an earlier time, like he had a vendetta out against Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and you're talking about one of the more respected coaches in the country. I'm anxious to see where it goes, because I'm not sitting here and saying none of this happened. I'm not sitting here and saying throw out all these allegations. Look into them, check them out, but I can't jump to any conclusions right now, because that's one of the. In fact, I saw a lot of people on Twitter the other day saying Pat Fitzgerald has to be fired now. Pat Fitzgerald has to do this. Well, how about we look into the damn things first? How about we find out if it was actually happening?
That's why, I mean, it doesn't shock me that these types of things happen, but it would shock me if it has been going on that long and that Northwest, because it's not like they were winning national titles and somebody was shoving it under the rug.
But I think this has been happening at college football programs across the country for a very long time in every program, and it's only progressively gotten better. Like the hazing back in 2007 was probably a lot more extreme.
I agree with that, because you got away with way more when social media wasn't as high. But the journalism school at Northwestern has always been the journalism school at Northwestern. Why would the journalists just now be finding this stuff out?
It's like, why did it take so long for like the Harvey Weinstein thing to come out? You know, I'm not saying, but that's just because sometimes like all it takes really for a lot of these stories is one person to come forward. Now, it's very much like, what do you think about hazing? It's tough, because there was details alleged against top tier players at Penn State, which were even like worse than what was going on at Northwestern, and that kind of got swept under the rug, which of hazing from players like Micah Parsons. And this is there's a lot of programs right now that are like, hopefully this doesn't get to us, because this is bad. Because if there becomes an anti-hazing thing, there's a lot of programs looking at what Northwestern is going to do right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're really putting pressure on Northwestern to be like, hey, you got to keep him, because if you fire him, then if something comes out about our coach, we got to fire him too, and then it becomes this whole trickle-down effect.
So with that firing, say everything's true, everything's accurate, can they fire Fitzgerald this close to the season?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, could they? Yeah. I don't think that would stop them. I don't think the season would stop them at all. I don't think it's going to get to that point. I don't think what I've heard is fireable yet, unless it's some more stuff comes out. But what Jack said is right. You took a fine-tooth comb to any program in this country,
yeah,
you're finding some stuff. That's just the truth. And when coaches are not in the room and players are players, things are going to happen sometimes. But no, I don't think that would stop them. The closeness of the season wouldn't stop them from doing what they thought they needed to do. I don't think they're going to need to do it, though.
It's not like they were winning in the season. Missing a head coach will really change their outlook.
No, but I mean, listen, I think Pat Fitzgerald's legacy at Northwestern goes beyond winning and losing, right? Like he will occasionally have a team that's very good and will win some games and could win the division, and then he'll have a couple down years. But that's a unique job. That's a job that lives in a neighborhood full of mansions and is trying to get by on limited means with challenges, and he has figured out how to do it. And it's no different than Vanderbilt in the SEC. Nobody's figured out how to do it there, but he has figured out how to do it at Northwestern. I just hope I feel like he's done it the right way. It feels like he's done it the right way for most of his time. Let's just see what shakes out over the next couple of weeks.
And for a head coach to be at a program for that long, you would assume that he's at least keeping his side of the street as clean as possible because he's there for that long.
The only thing is it doesn't matter. Even if he had a little inkling of knowledge and he wasn't picking the players to be hazed, it's his program. Mm-hmm. It's like who goes first? Yeah. Like if someone, and also we have to remember Northwestern's not Alabama, who would look at this and be like, slap on the wrist.
Correct.
Like this is a very progressive school, quote unquote. And it is a little, it's a very touchy, not touchy, it is, but also very, it's hard to discuss because
sensitive.
It's hazing, should it be like forced upon somebody? No, because a lot of it is sexual abuse. Even when like in high school, like this is what things would happen. But it's a team thing, and it shouldn't happen, but then it happens everywhere. And then if this guy gets fired, why doesn't that guy get fired? And it trickles down. It's very, very sticky. Because what's happening at Northwestern, like no fan base should attack Northwestern for this, because if you are mad about what's happening at Northwestern, buddy, you don't want to know what's going on at your program.
Well, that's also one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to, I mean, any hypocrite, but in college football, when you see other fan bases making fun of, like, if like there's players that get in trouble for like actual crimes at your rival school, and they're like, see, and
but Georgia players do have a problem driving too fast. We'll get
there. That's a great segue, Jack. Great segue.
But if they had a segue, maybe they wouldn't drive that fast.
There you go.
Yeah, this whole Georgia thing. Georgia's got some issues bubbling beneath the surface, but the surface includes 2 straight national titles. So does anybody care? Like, is there a Georgia fan in the world that cares that these guys are getting speeding tickets at an alarming rate? I would guess no. What?
I'm going to tell you, I'm not a Georgia fan, and I don't care.
No, I will say, and I hate to throw a damper on this, the bigger issue here is, like, there was a speeding incident that led to deaths on the football team.
Yeah.
So you think
so? Like that's why I haven't made. But that was more a drunk driving situation.
But the issue, Jack, is if you get 85 to 125, 18 to 22-year-olds with probably disposable income, probably nice cars, they're going to drive fast. They don't make the right decision. They don't. 18, 21-year-olds don't make the right decision, and that's. And
I got speeding tickets when I first started driving. I got a speeding ticket in Athens, actually, when I
could be wrong here, but it does feel like Georgia's getting more speeding tickets than any other program, though.
Yeah, but hearing about them more.
If I had to choose a problem for outside of obviously the very unfortunate incident that happened,
yes, of course.
If I had to choose a vice for my team, like remember the Urban Meyer Florida teams? I mean, they were committing crimes a hell of a lot worse than this.
You're not wrong.
This doesn't right now. There are other crimes that AJC reported on in the Georgia program that are a little touchy subject. But I don't know. I wasn't even going to bring up the Georgia player getting caught for speeding because, hell,
I just don't care.
22-year-old guy getting caught for speeding doesn't register to me.
Now, Brandon, you may know this a little bit better than I do. The AJC has always had this weird, almost vendetta against the Georgia football program. And Georgia fans hate
they do
AJC.
So the only thing I could think of there is it a legacy of the fact that Georgia Tech is in Atlanta, and years and years and years ago, there was just passed down, hey, we're going to treat it fairly, and we're going to be 50-50 to Georgia Tech and Georgia, and it comes across as anti-Georgia. Is that it?
It's possible.
Or is it another – it could be one of those situations, like you said, with Medill and Northwestern, you've got these ambitious young journalists. The AJC is a big paper that gets rising journalists, that gets guys who want to make a name for themselves. And do they believe that going after Georgia is the prize peach on the tree?
Now, a lot of what they brought up in that piece that came out, I think, after we last recorded, a lot of it, they intentionally left out some very important details from that you could go and find in the police reports. They laid out like almost 15 different reports, essentially laying out that Kirby Smart's covering up this huge assault issue at Georgia, but the police reports told a much different story.
Well, and that's why when Georgia fans were mad about it, it was a fair criticism because Georgia fans were mad because they were talking about Georgia and defending Georgia, but also like it didn't seem like they were off base for being mad about it, if that makes sense.
Not only that, but there were multiple that they listed that Kirby did kick off the team.
Yes, there was players that they brought up and they didn't even mention that were like they'd been exiled from the team way before, and then it was very, and that's when that happened, And then I looked into it, and that's where it's like AJC writes something, and then you see the response, and you're like, oh my God, this is bad. And then the Georgia fans bring up, wait a second, this, and you're like, but why would AJC do that? But I mean, again, it goes back to ambitious journalists and whatnot.
And
all right.
being there is a little bit of clickbait to it, but whatever.
I have 2 news items before we get to the intriguing quarterbacks. But before I do that, speaking of intriguing, I like to win money betting on college football. I am the king of college football. I am the king of the Midwest. I'm the king of the South. My empire is growing almost every day. It's growing exponentially, and that includes being a dominant force with the Barstool Sportsbook. This football season, I'll have some exclusive bets. Casey will have some exclusive bets. We'll have exclusive bets together. You can go to the Barstool Sportsbook app and bet along with us. We are the guys that you bet with, and we're out there on the front lines. We're out there sweating it out. We're out there putting feet on the pavement and trying to win money with you, right beside you. So there's exclusives right now. Listen, I hate to bring this guy's name up because he's a nerd and a dork, and I hate him. If you're not taking Chris Clemmer's daily baseball bet, you're a sucker. Chris Clemmer has a daily baseball bet. He tweets out on the Barstool Sportsbook. Jack Mack is a UFC savant. He was up 2.79 units the other night in UFC.
No, actually 4.5.
I'm sorry.
Get it right.
2.79 at one point, 4.5. But we've got experts like that on every sport. Come bet with us. Bet on the Barstool Sportsbook app. Yes.
And there's so many fun sports to bet on, responsibly, of course, but Wimbledon's happening right now. Obviously, UFC will happen throughout the summer. There's big boxing fights. And then once we get back to the football, then it's going. But Chris Clemmer's daily, we're in the All-Star break right now. But when he comes back, I mean, the man has taken the world by storm.
There's nothing better, though, waking up on a Saturday in the fall and deciding what you're going to do for the day and putting those bets in and then just praying. As long as you're 21.
And doing it responsibly.
As long as you're 21.
I'm capping myself at 5 picks per Saturday this year.
Whoa. No, you're not.
I know I'm not, but for right now I am.
Okay.
Responsibly. No, you're not.
Download and sign up for the Barstool Sportsbook today. Terms apply. You must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Quick.
If I could take the under on that, on the Barstool Sportsbook, I would smash that responsibly.
All right. Yeah, whatever. So
that's lasting 0 weeks.
I've been previewing the Pac-12 though. I think that I'm looking at that as like an automatic just overplays. As like if defense and offense, the relation stays similar. UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, Arizona. 5 picks my ass. No,
I think it's the league with the most good quarterbacks. So
5 picks my ass.
Just relax, Smith. Okay.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna just machine gun 3 news items at you real quick. Number 1 is SEC Media Days start next week. I do have a booth there, and I'm going to represent Unnecessary Roughness. I'll be interviewing coaches and whatnot.
Really?
No, Katie, he's fucking with you.
Fucking with you.
I don't know. You have the time to. You're only doing Necessary Roughness. No big sense.
Whoa, that's crazy. That was crazy.
She machine gunned back, bitch.
You can use this time to make some TikToks. You can make some TikToks.
Just relax, Kate. Just relax the hell. Hold on.
Brandon, the gun was pointed at her.
I do want to use it though, because you said I want to get the SEC Media Guide. So.
Whatever. Okay.
No, he's not going. He doesn't want to go.
I know. I want to go.
SEC Media Days is the worst event in sports. I've told you that multiple times.
Okay, cool. I gotta see it to believe it.
You don't want to go. You don't want to go.
I'm telling you, Katie, you don't want to go. You don't want to go.
It's in a mediocre hotel. Well, actually, it's in Nashville now, but I haven't been to it in Nashville, so I don't know. But in Birmingham, it was in a mediocre hotel with mediocre people asking mediocre questions. It's just
and you're just
hungry
stand all day.
So easily, if the two of you went, you could ask the fun questions. You get so much better responses than everybody else.
No, because it's a parade. You don't get to. The coaches.
Nobody has fun there.
The SIDs wouldn't even let us ask the questions.
Yeah, the coaches just sheepdogged in there. It's just weird. Anyway, Big 12 Media Days, I believe it's right now. Big 12 last week released its preseason media poll, or preseason media first team all conference. As we go into 2023, we're going to go up and down with Oklahoma fans again because they're counting on a bounce back. when is the last time the Big 12 released its all Big 12 preseason team? One Oklahoma Sooner is on that list, and he is on defense. There are 0 Oklahoma Sooners on the preseason all Big 12 team. There's one defensive player. That's crazy.
Do you think that's an overreaction, though?
No, because they
it's
don't
not
have
like they have bad players.
They don't have the best quarterback in the conference. They don't even have the second best quarterback in the conference. They don't have the best running back in the conference or the second best. They don't have one of the best receivers. They don't have one of the best tight ends. They don't have one of the best anythings on offense. So, no, I think it's eventually people that run preseason stuff and people that follow Oklahoma football have to realize they did go 6-7 last year.
Yes, it was a terrible year. But as we've talked about,
where is the talent to fortify that and turn it around? Because Dylan Gabriel, to me, is just a guy at quarterback. And then if you look at running back and receiver, where they have always, for the last 20 years, been leaps and bounds ahead of every Big 12 team except for Texas. They don't have it. Where is it? Drake Stoops?
But hasn't the argument that we've had on this podcast been multiple times, and we had it a couple weeks ago with Gabe, is that it's not like Oklahoma doesn't have the talent. It just didn't work last year for whatever reason.
They had the talent last year. They had a top 10 talent profile, and they lost 7 games.
So, but that's what the team is still very talented. It's not like they don't have the talent and Venables couldn't put it together. There was just an issue last year. That doesn't mean to me that the team isn't talented. So I feel like it's an overreaction a little bit.
Well, there's a difference between talent and results, right?
Right.
Because there could be a really talented 5-star quarterback who comes into your school and stinks.
Definitely.
But talent is a good predictor because we look at a lot of these teams. I mean, they're not far off the rankings of a lot of the top tier teams that we talk about week in, week out that just look like they have killers.
Like, Brandon, do you think Oklahoma last year, with the results that they had, and some of them were horrible, like the game against Texas obviously was disgusting, but some of the games, were very close. Like, do you think they were as bad as their record showed?
Yeah, I mean, I think you are what your record shows a lot of times. But
then TCU is a good football team then.
You're talking about close games for an Oklahoma program that isn't used to playing that many close games against the Big 12. So they obviously came back to the pack. They came all the way back to the pack. And frankly, we've seen them lose close games in 100% of Venables seasons. So if you're in close games a lot, that coaching staff and that head coach is going to matter. And you're going to win more than you're going to lose. And he certainly didn't do that last year. So we'll see. We'll see if it balances out. Now, 2 more news items, and we'll go forward. Did y'all see Marco Wilson was asked today? I don't know when he was asked, but it was reported today. Marco Wilson, the Florida DB from a couple years ago, maybe the most famous moment since we've been doing the show, or at least our favorite moment, when he threw the shoe of the LSU guy. And they asked him, "Do you regret doing that?" And he said, 100% no. If I had to do it over again, I would throw the shoe even further. That's just a phenomenal answer.
Incredible.
It's stupid as the day is long because it cost them big, but it's just a phenomenal answer.
I mean, yeah, I would rather hear that than like some sappy apology, like, "Oh, I've regretted every day. My anger got the best of me." Like, no, I want to hear a guy say, "I wish I threw it 20 yards further."
I mean, yeah.
That's incredible.
The wall just got 10 feet higher. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's like, "No, I should have had a better arm when I threw it."
All right, that's all the news. I'll skip the last one because it wasn't very good anyway. Let's do intriguing quarterbacks, shall we?
We shall. I do want to point out that as soon as you left New York, it actually got cool in the office.
It's not cool in here right now.
It's so hot upstairs.
Never mind. I'm kind of cold right now.
I'm just always hot. I just always sweat. It stinks.
Anyways, go ahead.
Wow, really set the tone for this segment. Thanks.
My bad. That's on me. That's on me. I brought my personal life into the pod. I shouldn't have done that.
Leave it at home, Jack.
Yeah, I have to be a professional.
Well, I'm sitting in my basement. This is just what I threw together for today. I'll fix it. I'll work on the set and all that. I'm gonna have 2 sets. But yeah, I'm in a nice cool basement. I got a lake behind me. Things are good.
The house that you have, and I understand people are giving you a hard time for a commute. You don't care about your commute. Is just a child's dream. Like, your kids are going to be happy. I'm just happy for you that your kids are going to be happy.
Well, that's nice. And back when your son was a kid, I'm sure he was happy too.
Yeah. Remember that one day he was happy? Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he
grew up.
He graduated high school.
Then he grew up and realized the world is shit. I got it.
So intriguing quarterbacks. Like I said, I thought let's just do the top 10 quarterbacks for 2023. But the more I looked at it, the more boring that list was. Because the reality is, as we sit here, Alabama's got a new starting quarterback. Georgia has one. Ohio State has one, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know with the receivers and the running backs and the offensive lines and the coaching those teams get, that one or all of those guys are going to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks at the end of the year, but I wouldn't rank them coming into the year. So it's projecting, it's predicting. What I thought was all three of those guys are intriguing, so let's do the most intriguing quarterbacks. And I don't know how y'all want to do it with me on Zoom. You want me to read my list of 10? Or you all want to go number 10 across the board, number 9 across the board? How you want to do it?
You tell us, Captain.
That's the first time. Hold on, Jack. That's the first time she has ever acknowledged my captainship of this show.
You notice I didn't say heart and soul. I said captain because I know for a fact that whatever we say, if you don't like it, you're going to change it anyways.
She's just not wasting her time, not being around the bush. Also, Jack has something cool.
So
yes, Jack.
Now, so this is the trickle-down effect that we were talking about earlier when we were talking about Northwestern. 670 the score, which is essentially the top-tier sports radio network in Chicago, has reported that Northwestern baseball head coach Jim Foster has created a toxic environment in the program and broken the spirit of this team. The report also said Foster made inappropriate comments about a female staff member. So this is like there's going to be a lot of, what's the saying, to crow? Like chickens come to crow or something like
chickens
come home to roost?
Or yeah, it's like that. There's a lot that's going to come.
It's the plebs.
Tom's laughing.
It's the plebs.
I think there's an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that wants to be a big-time reporter who is just absolutely dogging it out there, just going out there and talking to everybody that's ever played at Northwestern and trying to use it to become. That's fine, but he's building a career.
But that was from 670 the score. That's not the Inside or the Daily NU, which is the student-run newspaper. Just the last point on Northwestern, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot more comes out about other programs too, because it's like a snow. We see this a lot with a lot of similar bombshell
especially
stories.
If action is taken. So it's like people are heard, listened to, understood, and then like if Fitzgerald just fired, then I think more people will be like, okay, if I say something, I'll be heard.
But the snowball effect of these types of stories, especially
chance he gets fired.
I mean, it's clearly a case of the chickens coming home to crow.
Yes, thank you.
And the plebs too. The plebs are somehow involved.
Whatever percent. This is the last thing on. Then we'll get the quarterbacks. Percent chance that Fitzgerald gets fired, in your opinion?
5.
15.
Well, hold on. There's a before the start of the year, and then there's a
No, I'm saying in the next month or before the start of the season.
I think we're gonna see them go 1 and something, 2 and something, 3 and something, and then he'll be gone probably at the end of the year.
I think there's
just from results.
I think there's a 50% chance he gets fired in the next week.
Really?
I think this is being taken incredibly seriously, and so seriously that the president of the school, it's a new president, and he's reevaluating everything, and he also feels as if he has to protect himself now too.
Yeah.
And he could make a statement by saying, "Not under my watch."
It's also what is shitty though. I think it seemed they suspended for 2 weeks when they had the internal report, then the report got leaked. They saw the reaction, and then he has to go and almost do damage control for his own initial reaction.
I think the percentage is much lower at this moment. Now, if something crazy comes out, then I don't know. We'll see. Brandon, how would you like to do this list? Because as I mentioned, you're gonna override whatever we say, anyways.
Let's just everybody lists their number 10, then everybody lists their number 9, and everybody lists their number 8. Okay.
Okay, you go first.
So I got it. So these are the most intriguing quarterbacks for the 2023 season. Now, if you guys want to infer your own realities or your own definitions of intriguing, go ahead, go for it. I've got mine. Okay. Number 10, Shedeur Sanders, Colorado Buffaloes. The son of Deion Sanders, played obviously at Jackson State the last 2 years, put up numbers, was really good, and he is I don't know how to exactly say this being politically correct, but I don't believe he had to go in there and compete for that job. Deion came to that job knowing that Shedeur was going to be his starting quarterback. And that's just the reality of it. He knew when he got to Colorado, he had his quarterback in mind. Now, it's a quarterback-heavy league, a quarterback league with Caleb Williams, with Bo Nix, with Michael Penix Jr. But if you're going to compete right off the bat in the Pac-12, you better have a good quarterback. I don't know how ready he's going to be. I don't know how good his receivers are. I don't know. But I know there's a lot of talent in there, and I know I'm intrigued by what might happen. Casey, who's your number 10?
My number 10 would be the quarterback of the LSU Tigers, one Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw how high people were on him when he was at Arizona State. Then he came into LSU, and it was like, all right, the star didn't shine as bright. Last year, they kind of figured it out with him. And LSU is so intriguing to me because I feel like Brian Kelly, understandably, gets a lot of shit talked on him, but they were not that bad last year. They were actually very good. Now, they had some games where we were like the Florida State game.
They won the SEC West.
Right. That's what I'm like. It was like after they lost to Florida State in the opening week, it was like, oh God, Brian Kelly made a mistake coming from Notre Dame and going to LSU. And the ending of the season sucked because they lost to a team with A&M they absolutely should not have. But Jaden Daniels figured it out in a lot of different ways, and he really got it moving and kind of grew into that role. And I think that there's so much attention on the SEC West this year, the most I've seen in a long time, because we know who's going to win the East. It's going to be Georgia. What's going to happen in the West? And I think, Jaden Daniels obviously is a very important part of that puzzle.
Jack, your number 10, please.
I put Tanner Mordecai here at Wisconsin. Wisconsin had what a lot of people described as two of the best coaching moves of the offseason, bringing in Longo, and of course, they're bringing my brain just broke.
Luke Fickell.
Luke Fickell. And Mordecai obviously had a very successful career over at SMU, and we are looking at him coming in to Wisconsin and how quickly can he adapt to that new offense, and then also really how quickly can Fickell in Wisconsin and him really go take that next step forward. And so we'll see.
And Wisconsin as a whole is just intriguing as hell because
yeah.
So they're going a lot from under center to shotgun. That apparently a lot during spring practice and the spring game. So I think the center from Cincinnati was injured, so it was the backup. A very high percentage of the snapbacks were just not on target. So I think it's a whole offensive, relearning the system, trying to do it so quickly.
All right, Jack, I'm about to go to Katie for her number 10, but before I do that, I got to tell you, just pull into the Brain gas station right now, fill her up, take the next couple plays off, and just fill that gas tank back up, okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Because his brain ran out of gas on that one. His brain ran out of fuel.
No, I just forgot Luke Fickell's name for a second.
It's okay. Katie, number 10.
I did that with Mark Stoops last week.
We all are.
Number 10, I'm going to do Jeff Sims, going from Georgia Tech to Nebraska. I don't necessarily have the faith. I do hope. But I think it's just interesting. I feel like half the time I looked at him last year, it was like, oh, that's why you're at Georgia Tech. That's why you guys stink. And then the other half of the time is like, Jeff Sims, it's him carrying this team on his back. So I'm just really interested to see what he looks like under a new system and in the Big Ten.
Number 9, Brandon Walker.
Bueller.
Sorry, the old owner of my house had some mail delivered here, and I've had it out front for 3 days. He's like, when can I come pick it up? Hurry up and come get it. I'm just sitting out there getting rained on. All right, my number 9, cheating a little bit, but it is Alabama's starting quarterback. Whether it's Jalen Milroe, whether it's I knew this would happen. I knew it would happen as soon as I made it.
There's no way. There's no way.
There's no way.
No, don't say it. Don't say it.
I just said his first
Simpson
name.
or Tyler Buckner.
And then who's the other one?
Jalen Milroe.
Okay, nice. There we go.
I already said Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, or Tyler Buckner.
And I said Tyler, so I kind of gave it away. So
I had it. I think it's going to be Tyler Buckner, to be honest. I don't think you go get him without a plan to use him. And when they got him is more telling. But let's say it's Milroe. Let's say it's Ty Simpson. Let's say it's whoever it is going to have national title expectations. whoever it is has to be the guy who's stepping into Bryce Young's shoes, and Bryce Young lost 2 games last year, but you can't lose 2 games. So it's intriguing because they're going to have to not save Alabama because they went 11-2, but they got to get them back into the playoff consideration. And if they don't do it, they are a failure. That's intriguing. Go Casey.
This is going to, I mean, obviously it's going to happen throughout the entire list, but we're going to start overlapping, and I'm not going to harp on it forever, but I have Shedeur Sanders at number 9 for all the things Brandon said. And, to go off of one of the most viral things that was said in the offseason thus far, and probably for the entire year, Deion saying, I'm bringing my luggage with me and it's all Louis. Then he gets the immediate backlash for that for other reasons, but also it's like, it's your son. You look back at the season last year and just the way that the announcers kind of treated the fact that his quarterback was his son just is always it's like there's a weird hate there, just so much going into that. And it's like, are you an actually good quarterback in the Pac-12, or is it the system that you were in before? So everything you said as well, but I think Colorado as a whole, very intriguing, and starts with the quarterback.
Jack, number 9.
Graham Mertz. I just brought up the Wisconsin quarterback. Graham Mertz goes down to Florida. Florida is a team that's really on the precipice of potentially.
Still haven't gotten
it.
Precipice?
Well, I was just going to continue on. They're really on the brink of potentially being a team of the past. I know they were in the SEC championship a few years ago, but something needs to change there, and they're recruiting well right now. But Graham Mertz, he may not even be the starting quarterback, but he's a guy that former 5-star, 4 or 5-star, and now he goes down to Florida. And can he rebrand himself as a successful quarterback instead of looked at as a hype train that derailed? So I'm excited and really intrigued to see how he does down in Florida.
Katie, stats.
Jack Plummer going from Purdue to Cal to Louisville to back with Brom. It's funny. I think people are very high in Louisville this year. I say this very innocently. I have no idea why. Their top receiver has 7 receptions coming back, so they're really rebuilding. But I'm always really interested to see what happens when head coaches and OCs get reunited with quarterbacks after some time apart. So hopefully he can live up to the hype that Brom brought him back for.
Louisville is getting hype, and Louisville is getting hype because of one reason. And to me, it's not a reason you should celebrate. It's because their schedule is ridiculously easy.
It is that, but I think there's just so much rebuilding so quickly. Like the pieces
they
puzzles.
Got a lot of transfer guys. They got a better coach. But I don't think that is necessarily going to be the slam dunk 10, 11, 9-win season that they think it's going to be. Like, every team on that schedule also kind of looks at Louisville like they're beatable too. So it's not like – I don't think Louisville should be just given this spot as saying they're so good because their schedule's bad. Anyway, my number 8. This is a team that I think will be in the national championship mix this year. This is a team that recently has lost to Ohio State and Michigan, but they've done it with Sean Clifford. Drew Aller is a different animal. Drew Aller is somebody that is a highly recruited guy. We saw him a little bit last year, and he showed a lot of promise. And I think as the man, as the guy, he has a chance to take Penn State to the next level. I look at Ohio State, and I look at Michigan. I see J.J. McCarthy, and he's fine. I see Kyle McCord, and he's got great receivers. But I look at Drew Aller, and I think he can change that team. And he's my number 8 most intriguing quarterback, Casey Smith.
My number 8 is also Drew Aller. The fact that he is only, I think, 19, turned 19 in the spring, obviously very young, but I feel like Sean Clifford was one of those guys that we make fun of forever because it seems like he was at Penn State for the longest time, and a lot of Penn State fans were like, we've just got to get over the hump. Sean Clifford's not that guy. Whenever Drew Aller got to come into the game for Sean Clifford, it felt like obviously a physical handoff of the football, but it kind of felt like the baton was being passed, and Penn State fans are so excited about him, and they should be. Understandably, he's got a lot of hype around him, but for whatever reason, Sean Clifford, even when he would put up the numbers and even when Penn State was playing well, it was still always his fault. If they did something wrong, it felt like the fans, it felt like the media was like, well, it's just because they have Sean Clifford. Drew Aller has an opportunity to switch that around. Also, my number 8 most intriguing quarterback.
Jack?
Mine is Spencer Rattler. He really finished the season in a way that it looked like he got back to the point where when he was really successful at Oklahoma and was really living up to that hype as a top-tier 5-star prospect. South Carolina is a team that is pretty good, but just like any year in the SEC, you're going to go up against a lot of really tough teams. And I think they start the season off against you guys, right? North Carolina?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, even out of conference, it's not that easy either. So, Spencer Rattler, and, I mean, he's one cocky son of a bitch. So, like, if he plays well and does well, he's going to let us know it. And South Carolina fans are going to, too. So, I'm really, really intrigued by him. And if he can take that next step, he can really make South Carolina an interesting team.
All right, Casey, here's the captain at work. This is my captaincy speaking. Jack, I'm going to need your one cocky son of a bitch of the week every week this year.
Cocky son of a bitch.
I love it.
The one cocky son of, just the way you said that, he is one cocky son of a bitch.
Also,
Yes.
It was kind of a double entendre because
he plays in South
Gamecocks.
Carolina.
There you go.
See, I
love it.
I knew he'd go to the gas station and fill that brain back up.
No,
Just took him a little bit.
no, he was the hard coach there. He was like, you got to get back in. He was right.
Yeah, no, that I love that. That's the Jack
Cocky
Mack
son of a
cocky
bitch.
son of a bitch of the week.
Number 8, Katie Stats.
Also Spencer Rattler.
Oh, nice.
To add on to Jack, I think it's just obviously first half of the year versus just like the last 2 games. Do we see him come out the same Spencer we saw versus Tennessee and Clemson, or does it revert back to like Oklahoma early in the year? If he builds on what we saw last 2 games of the year, South Carolina's going to be really fun to watch. Hopefully that happens, but
The thing about
those 2 games were Heisman level games.
that's
Very-
right. But the thing about that is those 2 games were Heisman level games. His 10 games before that were fucking awful. Like,
Well,
it wasn't like he went from above average to really good. He went from, he was fucking awful the first 10 weeks of the season.
the game against Tennessee, he had the equivalent to all the rest of his SEC games combined for touchdowns. That's not good.
I know. No.
That is not good.
Now there were offensive coordinator changes that
Yes.
but
No, I love the Spencer Rattler pick because I don't want to give up the take that I think that he is a really good quarterback, but boy, he was bad at the beginning. It's fine.
Oh,
Brandon, number 7.
he threw
the last
6
3 games. I forgot
he
they
threw
played Notre
6
Dame.
touchdowns against Tennessee. Prior to that, he had thrown in the SEC 5.
Brandon, Casey just said
I
that.
just said that.
No, I know. She said the fact that it happened. I gave the stats. I was clarifying her point. She didn't say the stats.
Okay. No. What?
She didn't say the numbers.
I think what her quote was, he threw more touchdowns in the Tennessee game than
he had in the SEC games combined.
And when she said it, I was like, that's intriguing. I went and looked and
all
saw the
right.
actual
No, I
fucking
see.
numbers, you dumb fuck.
Okay. No. Don't.
Okay,
No. NYC
no.
Brandon's coming
No.
out.
No, y'all are making it come out. She said it. I was like, oh. And I went and looked, and I got the actual fucking number.
This is gaslighting.
You're gaslighting.
This is gaslighting.
Who's gaslighting?
We're almost gaslighting you.
yeah, we are. We are. We're
Bullshit. I
gaslighting.
was giving supporting numbers to her point.
No.
I know.
No. You're right.
It was just so funny because you were looking down because you were reading, but I perked up, and Jack literally, look at me, Brandon. He literally like put his hand like this. He was like, "Don't say anything yet," because he wanted to let you finish your point before he could say it.
Against Tennessee, Clemson, and Notre Dame, he threw for 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Prior to that, he had thrown for 8 touchdowns. And that's 10 games. It's amazing. The numbers are amazing if you look into it.
And
Anyway,
one of those games was against Charlotte when they were really bad last year. I
one
think.
was South Carolina State.
Yeah.
All right. My number 7. Don't ever let Midwest Brandon be Midwest Brandon. Don't. Okay.
Sorry, we poked the bear.
He has to let the meanness out on us because it can't be his fellow neighbors in the Midwest.
Yeah, but also Midwest
We can
nice
take
is
it.
actually
Midwest
mean.
people can't.
Go
My
ahead.
number 7. This is a guy who won his school's starting job last year, got hurt, and the guy who took his job finished in the Heisman and took his team to play for a national title. But for everything Max Duggan did last year, you got to remember, he wasn't their choice. He wasn't the guy they wanted to be the quarterback. They started with Chandler Morris. Chandler Morris got hurt, and then Max Duggan took the job back, actually. But Chandler Morris is back, and TCU, for all of my poking and prodding at them, they didn't belong where they got to last year. But they still have some really intriguing parts, and they're still one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Big 12 this year. And I think Chandler Morris could be a huge part of that, and I think he could put up huge numbers. He is intriguing. My number 7, Chandler Morris, TCU.
I am going to take Quinn Ewers for the University of Texas at number 7. So much hype around this guy. I mean, don't need to go back through the backstory, but, the highest rated recruit ever. And then the fact that when we did see him play last year, he had some moments that were god awful. Now, he had some moments that showed a lot of promise. And part of me looks at it and says, okay, he was a freshman, he was young, he makes those mistakes. The other part of me is like, was the bright light so bright on him that we're almost conditioned to expect him to be much better than he actually is because he hadn't played at the collegiate level yet. But even more so, and we know about the way that Texas and OU are going to be playing before they go into the SEC, got Arch Manning right behind him, and Texas really has an opportunity to take the next step back into the national spotlight before they go into the SEC, and Quinn Ewers is a guy who can take that next step for them immediately if he's the guy we think that he was when he got recruited to Ohio State.
All right. I agree with everything you just said. He'll be appearing on my list later. But at number 7, I'm going with DJ Uiagalelei. And, there's not a lot to say about him because he's going from Clemson to Oregon State. At Clemson, he was the future. Mm-hmm. And, he wasn't awful, but he wasn't awful all the time, but his end was pretty bad. And I was always a supporter of him. I still think he has the talent. And I think the change of scenery is going to be really good for him. And also, Brandon's brought this team up. We've talked about this team a few times now. If DJ really takes that step at where his talent was at, for Oregon State, they could be, like, would I be shocked if Oregon State won the Pac-12? No, I wouldn't. I think it would be surprising, but I wouldn't be like, oh, my God, how did that happen? So
I think they're in the mix out there. I think they're absolutely in the mix with USC, Utah, Oregon, all of them.
Yeah, and so DJ is my number 7.
Katie?
Right now, mine is Peyton Thorne.
What do you mean right now?
I don't, just let me have random words come out of my mouth every once in a while. Also, besides 1, 2, and 3, the rest of mine could be interchangeable by ranking. Sure. Peyton Thorne, I think, it's a mix of the Hugh Freeze. Goes to Michigan State, was fine, was New system. I just think quarterbacks don't live up to potential. Like, same thing I'm going to say with my next round with DJ. Just want to see what they look like in the new system. Like, no, who could have saw Michael Penix Jr. coming? For, like, the Indiana. They had the, like, what's the, Picasso, Michelangelo? What's the touch?
Sistine Chapel.
Yeah, thank you. That one. They had that with the touchdown, and then he went into oblivion, and now he's a Heisman frontrunner at Washington. We could see that with one of these transfer quarterbacks this year.
I love that she was people that are watching on YouTube. But yeah, the people that will get
what
that.
What is that?
Visual.
That's Michelangelo, right?
Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo. Yes.
Yeah.
Look at that Mississippi education at work.
I mean, it's biblical. Anyway, all right, my number 6. I'll just go ahead and say it because Jack's not here. He just said it, but DJ Uiagalelei is also up there for me because I think that's a good team, and frankly, I think he's better than Clemson allowed him to be. I think Clemson fans all shit on him relentlessly. Clemson fans all kind of ran him out of town for Cade. I think he's a lot better than he showed. I don't think he was given any favors with the receivers he was given, with the offensive coordinator he was given. I think DJ has a chance to be a very special player. Also, and this is what we do as college football fans, when he takes the field this year, it'll be his 4th year in college, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure I got that right. I think it's pretty sure it's his 4th year in college, right? He had the year behind Trevor a couple years ago. Then he had 2 years.
Yeah, yes.
So
because 2020 was his freshman year, right?
So
his third year with this will be his 4th year with stats.
Yes.
Correct. We act like when a player struggles for his first couple of years, that's who he is. Players get better. Players get older. Players get wiser. Players get better. and he's going to the Pac-12, and he's got a good team around him. I think DJ is very intriguing for this year. Katie, no. What's her name in the middle? Casey, what's her name? Casey Smith. Who's your number 6?
I know that you mentioned him earlier in the show as somebody that you weren't really intrigued by, but I think that Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma is actually a very intriguing storyline because, we saw that the success that he had at UCF, and while it wasn't crazy, he got hurt, he decided to transfer. He did have some good numbers at UCF, and then the hype around him going to Oklahoma and Venables being a defensive guy, there's something about Oklahoma. And as much as I like to talk crap to their fans and like get in the mix and do all of that, like Dylan Gabriel is a good quarterback. Brent Venables is one of the best defensive coordinators I've seen in my, tenure of doing this show, if not the best. So there's something going on with Oklahoma last year that didn't make any sense to me. And it's intriguing that the quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners is being talked about as if like he's just not, they're not going to be successful. And it's not just him, it's the whole team. But the way that he played before he got hurt at UCF, and then the glimpses that we saw last year, and he also got hurt last year. And I know that doesn't necessarily mean that they would have beaten Texas or TCU or, what have you. But the fact that he did get hurt and didn't play an entire season healthy plays into it. And I think that Oklahoma as a whole is very, very intriguing.
It's literally 20 degrees hotter in here than
I have
outside.
started to get hot, yes. I'm in my Overs Club jacket, though, and I'm afraid if I take it off, I'll be sweaty underneath.
Oh, I'm sweating through my what?
Number 6.
Brandon doesn't care about my sweating. Number 6, Carson Beck. I mean, obviously, we've got a quarterback who is replacing a quarterback who just won back-to-back national championships. There's a lot of hype about this guy. Aaron Murray's talking about this guy like he's the greatest quarterback that's ever walked the earth. I know Aaron's not actually saying that, but he's very high on Carson Beck. And I trust his opinion. I think he's a great analyst. And also, I mean, Aaron Murray knows the part. He knows how to be a Georgia quarterback. And so Carson, I'm really excited for. And here's the thing. It's very intriguing, too, because, like, if he doesn't show up, I mean, Brock Vandergrift's right behind him. And you never know. There could be another Stetson Bennett who's just a walk-on. So Carson is my number 6.
Also, like, with Ladd McConkey and Brad, who is it, Mommy? Tight end? The other receiver.
Brock Bowers?
Yes, thank you. You can kind of chuck it up and they'll go get it.
Yeah.
Same with Ohio State. Like, for me, like, spoiler, Ohio State, whoever it is not on my list because I'm not really worried. Because I think any of us could go in there, chuck the ball up. Those receivers can go in and make them look great.
All right, Katie, stats your number 6.
DJ, everyone's really said it already. Same thing, just a quarterback who's kind of failed in one system. I'm very interested to see what they look like in another system. And Oregon State, sneaky competitive in the Pac-12.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Yeah, let me get into this one. Okay. My number 5 most intriguing quarterback for the 2023 season is somebody that if you looked at the SEC and you ranked the quarterbacks returning by their numbers, he would be number 1 with a bullet. If you looked in this country and ranked them by their numbers, he would be number 1 with a bullet. But this guy is treated like he is some sort of antique. Like because he's going to be playing a tweaked offense, he is not going to be very good. Will Rogers at Mississippi State played for Mike Leach. That is true. That doesn't mean Will Rogers can't quarterback well in a different offense. They got Kevin Barbay from App State. They're going to run it a little bit more, but they're still going to throw the ball down the field. They're not going to a pro-style offense. They're not going to Wisconsin's offense the last 20 years. They're still going to throw the ball down the field, and you have a 4-year starter at quarterback who's put up over 10,000 passing yards, over 80 touchdowns. He's going to be good. He's going to be really good. These people, I've seen a lot of people saying KJ Jefferson's the best quarterback in the SEC. No, he's not. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the SEC. I don't think he is either. Spencer Rattler. Will Rogers has a chance to be the best quarterback in the SEC. Or if the offense isn't very good, he might suck. I don't know. It's intriguing as hell.
You now have tight ends, too. It's a new system.
We just got tight end from Colorado, big-time transfer portal guy. We got multiple tight ends. We got good receivers. I think we're loaded on offense, and Will Rogers gets no respect whatsoever based on what he has accomplished in his career. Casey Smith, you're number 5.
My number 5 would be Joe Milton at Tennessee. And if you listen to the Hate Week episode, obviously you know how Big T feels about him. I understand that Joe Milton at Michigan was god-awful, and if you're a Barstool fan, you hear like the Milton tough thing, and you can make fun of Dave for it, whatever. But when Joe Milton came in last year for Hendon Hooker when he got hurt, he played really well. Yes, he can overthrow a ball about 27 rows into the stadium. However, what happened at Tennessee last year with Hendon Hooker and what they were able to do, and even though they didn't finish the season where they thought they would, that offense was one of the best in the country. It was incredible to watch. And knowing that you've got an athletic guy in Joe Milton who has proven that he can play the position, even if it's a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde, I think there's going to be so many eyes on what Josh Heupel can do with him. And if he can get his accuracy down, Tennessee could have another. I don't think they're going to win the East. I think that's going to be Georgia, but Tennessee could have another hell of a year with Joe Milton.
I forgot Joe Milton on my list.
Jack, number 5.
I have the Alabama quarterbacks here. We already discussed them. They're number 5 on my list.
Katie Stats.
NC State fans, give me credit for this. Devin Leary. I think Kentucky's going to have a really good quarterback. I'm really happy he's out of NC State. I know he was injured a bit, but look at his stats when he was playing. Kid knows what he's doing, and excited to see if... I think it also tells a lot about Will Levis. So, interested to see what they look like.
My number 4 is Cade Klubnik, Clemson. They ran out a guy who was... I don't think DJ was terrible. I think DJ was getting better too. But they ran him out to give him the job, Cade. At Clemson, you better go 11-1, 12-0. That's just reality right now. And Cade is being handed the keys and being told to get back to the playoff. That's the expectation on him. I don't know if he's got it in him. We'll see. But it's going to be an intriguing march to get there. I got Cade Klubnik, my number 4.
Who do you have more questions about for everybody? Garrett Riley, coming in, hitting the ground, or Cade Klubnik? What do you think's a bigger addition? Bigger part of that?
No, I think if my problem with Riley is, he had the one great year at TCU and everybody's acting like he's the best coordinator in the country. I think you need to do it more than 1 year to prove that. But if that is in fact indicative of who he is, then Clemson made the biggest probably coaching hire of the offseason in getting him. So I would say he is the biggest. If he is what he looks like he is the biggest addition.
And you good, Jack?
Yeah, I just spilled. Well, it'll dry up in a second because it's 100 degrees in here, so it doesn't even matter. But I did spill.
So we got to get through this quickly. We're losing Jack.
Yeah, we're losing him. He's dying a slow death. Number 4, Jack already talked about him, but Carson Beck at Georgia. Stetson Bennett, for all the clowning on him that we've done on this podcast, that everybody's done, he won back-to-back national titles at Georgia. He was a Heisman finalist, whether you agree with him being invited to New York or not. He did it, and he did something at Georgia that they so desperately wanted and was able to do it back-to-back years. And Carson Beck could be wildly more talented, wildly more athletic. We will see. But if he does not win a national title, or if he has some major, error or mess up on a big stage, he's always going to be, well, you couldn't do what Stetson Bennett could do, and you were more athletic or more talented. So I think Georgia's incredibly intriguing because he gets to follow up a guy who, on paper, we thought would be selling insurance for the rest of his life and ended up winning 2 national titles.
Jack, number 4.
My number 4 is Sam Hartman.
Wait, no, it was Jack. It's gone Casey, Jack, you the whole time.
I can't do math. Ignore me. Sorry.
All right.
Yes, Sam Hartman. Heck of a career at Wake Forest. Now he's really in the big leagues. If you had a bad game at Wake Forest, it's it kind of gets swept under the rug. He didn't really have many of them, but it's just all right. Then you go back to campus and it's whatever. I'm not saying that their fans don't care. They do, but it's the pressure of Notre Dame's a lot different. You're on NBC every weekend except for a few weekends a year, and he is the chosen one right now for them. It's one of the biggest chosen ones for Notre Dame in a while. So he's really supposed to show up in a big way this year, and the deck is kind of stacked against him. Because of the fact that, he just lost his offensive coordinator, which probably played a big role in him going to Notre Dame. But yeah, Sam Hartman. And we'll be talking about him a lot this season, I think.
All right, Katie Stats.
Tanner Mordecai. I've heard he's not really hitting the ground running, but I still think that he's arm power to do really good things at Wisconsin, and excited to see what he looks like in the new offense.
All right, my 3, been mentioned a couple times. I've got it at 3 because I think Ewers is a monster. And I think Quinn Ewers being a monster, I think Texas is going to be very good this year. Quinn Ewers is my number 3. I don't have to speak about him a lot. I think he showed tremendous potential last year. He had a couple bad games against Oklahoma State. He was garbage. But this isn't last year. This is this year. I got Quinn Ewers number 3. Casey.
I have Sam Hartman at number 3. Just to add on to what Jack said, I think that there's a lot of eyes on what's going to happen with Notre Dame and the fact that, he's the ACC career touchdown leader and he's going into a school that you look at and you say Notre Dame should be good for whatever reason. Even in the many years that they weren't, there's a lot of attention on him and what he can do.
Jack, number 3.
Joe Milton. We already discussed him. He's replacing one of the best Tennessee quarterbacks in a while, and he's supposed to walk in there and really there's also a lot of pressure on him because there's a guy behind him who's one of the top recruits in the history of the school, and they also paid a lot of money for him, and we're talking about Nico Iamaleava. I think I said it correctly. And so Joe Milton, and I'm really high on him, so I'm really intrigued to see how far he can take this team.
Katie Stats, 3.
Drew Aller, I think with Penn State, it's been said once, it'll be said again. I think you're saying that Penn State's going to beat, Michigan and Ohio State, or is it just Michigan?
I think they'll beat one of them.
One of them. I think a lot in the same way Oregon State, a lot depends on Drew's ceiling, on DJ's ceiling. Not saying that they can make or break the team, but if they hit their ground running, Penn State's going to be really fun to watch.
All right, my number 2, Carson Beck, Georgia. He's following up a 2-time national champ. He has the ability. He has the receivers. If he's not great, he has no excuses. Everything's in place to be great. Casey, number 2.
Number 2 would be Cade Klubnik. Clemson, like you said, Brandon, needs to get back to the national championship race for them to be happy. All year last year, even when DJ was playing well, it was like, we've got this kid behind us. And then he had an absolute stinker of a bowl game. And I understand, bowl games, you can, if you're not playing for a national title, take it how you will. A lot of pressure on him. And the ACC, I feel like, spoiler alert, my number 1 quarterback, there's a team that could be sneaking up, and I am looking at Clemson saying, okay, Clemson, are you about to hand over your keys and say we are no longer the king in the ACC, or are you going to take it back with this new quarterback?
All right, Jack.
My number 2 is Drew Aller. A lot's been said about him. I think Penn State has a national championship team outside of him, and his performance will determine whether or not they get to the college football playoff. So, that's a lot of pressure on a young quarterback who was a freshman last year. I think he's 19. But guess what? That's what you signed up for. So get ready. And it's not going to be easy, but he has the talent and probably one of the more talented quarterbacks Penn State's ever had on paper.
All right, Katie Stats, number 2.
Sam Hartman. Every reason everyone's already said. Just very excited to see. Also, if that's got to be like, a Notre Dame's one of those automatic Heisman schools. You can be a B+ quarterback, but just being at a Notre Dame is the added +1 in the voting.
Agreed.
All right, before I say my number 1 and start the number 1s, I got to say this. This is the most intriguing quarterbacks list. So, and on my list, you didn't see Caleb Williams. I know he's going to be good. You didn't see Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix. I know they're going to be good. You didn't see Jordan Travis. I know he's going to be good. Now, that's a different list. This is most intriguing, the guys I'm most interested in seeing and could be the biggest boom or bust guys for their school. My number 1, I truly thought we would all have the same number 1. It's Joe Milton. Tennessee fans are already talking about this guy like he's Paul Bunyan. They're talking about this guy like he is Jesus Christ come to life. And we saw him at Michigan. They talked about it in the same way. And after about 2 or 3 games, it was like, he's not very good. And they let him walk. Then he gets to Tennessee. You think he's going to be the starter, and he gets beat by Hendon Hooker. Okay? So he's had multiple opportunities to bite at the apple and hasn't been able to do it. Yet still, there's this arm that throws 80-yard dots. There's this arm that intrigues you. Is that the best arm in the world? He's going to be wearing Tennessee orange. He's going to be playing for a coach who turned Hendon Hooker, who was average at Virginia Tech, into a Heisman candidate. Yes. Everything about Joe Milton is intriguing. Will he be good? I don't know. Will he be bad? I don't know. But he's going to be interesting as fuck. That's my number 1, Joe Milton. Casey Smith.
I know you said that you didn't put Jordan Travis on your list, but he is my number one. I know that he's also in the top 5 quarterbacks, so we already know how good because of how good he was last year and having the 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns and all of that. But the reason he's so intriguing is because at one point in his career, he asked to switch positions because he was like, I'm not going to be able to be a starting quarterback. And then he comes and does what he does at Florida State. And all of a sudden, we're talking about Florida State being back in the mix after a few years ago. Florida State was a laughingstock. It was an absolute dumpster fire. And this guy comes in and he just completely changes the narrative in a hurry and then puts up these numbers that I think he's like one of the 4 guys at Florida State to ever put up the numbers that he did. And the other 3 all won Heisman trophies. So he's incredibly intriguing, not only because of the talent that he has, but also because of what the ACC looks like. And because, like I mentioned with Cade at Clemson is no longer the shoe-in king for that conference, because even though they won 11 games last year, it was still just like, all right, like you got to switch a quarterback in the middle of the season. Florida State has an opportunity here, and that kid is so good. And if he has another season like that, he's going to be in New York. He could potentially be on the Heisman Trophy list. And if he has a down season after last year, that's incredibly intriguing for how he changed that narrative.
I'm going to say something that may get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Jordan Travis has never done it for me. He misses that like there's every time I watch him play, I'm like, you're good, but like I'm just like he just doesn't do it for me.
Is it because he's wearing Florida State uniform? But is it because he's wearing Florida State? Like,
no, I loved Jameis. Jameis did it for me.
But if he was like at Alabama, putting
EJ
up those
Manuel
numbers,
was one of my favorite quarterbacks when I was like in high school.
He's number 2 on PFF. Not rankings or everything.
I feel like if he was wearing an Alabama jersey, an Ohio State jersey, go down the list.
Maybe he'll do it for me this year.
Last year, those numbers, we'd be like, oh, this guy should be in New York.
My number 1, Quinn Ewers. I agree that he's very intriguing. Like, I'm not disagreeing with your list.
No.
Mine's Quinn Ewers. Brandon said it. Quinn, this is it. You were the number 1 recruit in the history of recruiting services. We've seen recruiting services rank players like Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel. We go on and on and on. Tua, Bryce Young, Joe Burrow, on and on and on. Quinn, number 1, top G, okay? And guess what? He hasn't lived up to it. And this is where he's supposed to. This is it. Like, there's no more playing around, okay? Right. Texas, you have to be good this year. Obviously, they'll be fine if they're not, but you have to be good.
No, they have to be. It's time. It's you
time.
Be good this year.
I'm so sick and tired of this school who every year they come in with the same prospects, the same top guys, and they do nothing. This is your league. You have to win it. And if you don't, and you don't make the college football playoff, you're going to the SEC as a complete pleb. Okay? A complete and utter
came back.
Pleb.
Okay, here,
Quinn Ewers, you have to play well this year. You have a quarterback or a head coach, and that is a top offensive coordinator. You can't ask for a better situation. If you're not going to do it this year.
Katie, you know what I feel like this is happening? And I had Quinn Ewers on my list as well for a lot of the same reasons, but much lower. I feel like Jack and Brandon are both kind of like Max Kellerman with Tom Brady at this point, where it's like Texas is back every year, and if they don't come back at some point, they're going to have to admit they were wrong.
That's what I'm saying. We need
revoke their SEC membership. I'm dead serious. If they don't win 10 games this year, revoke their SEC
Max
membership.
Kellerman said for like 10 years Tom Brady's falling off a cliff. Jack Mack and Brandon are like, Texas is back every single year, and every single year they're not back. They're like, nope, next year's the year. And if Quinn Ewers can't do it in 2023, he is dead to them.
What record, or like what's the least amount of wins, or like
10.
If they hit 9 wins, you are not allowed to say Texas is back next year.
Texas is back if they're in the conversation of the national title, because Texas has won a national title within the last 2 decades.
I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up my ability to believe in Texas every single year. But
what's the level?
Katie, if they win 7 games this year, they'll just have Arch Manning next year, and I'll be like, well, this is the year they're going to win 10.
Mr. Kellerman back there
is disappointing for Texas this year.
8.
I mean, anything 9 or below is disappointing.
I think that if you really talk to Texas fans, I've said this, like when you say Texas is back, and I know the Sam Ehlinger quote like went crazy because they beat Georgia, whatever. Texas fans know that their Texas is back internally is them being in the conversation to play for a national title.
We're getting too caught up in Texas is back. Texas is back. Texas is back. What Jack said is correct. They got to win the fucking Big 12.
Yes.
If you're not this year, if you're not going to win it this year, then you ain't going to win it. Well, you're obviously not going to win it because you're never going to play it.
Oh, Brandon, you better be so careful about that because boy, Oklahoma fans were so mad.
No, if
at
Texas
me
listen
for saying that they can't go into the SEC and be immediately successful.
Even when Texas was good, right? Texas would have to face the Big 12 and Oklahoma. They'd have to climb the Oklahoma mountain. Some years that was too hard to do because Oklahoma was so good. Well, now Oklahoma's not on a mountain. Oklahoma's down there fighting to get back up. So if I'm Texas and Oklahoma's wounded, you got to win it. If you don't win it, we can't. It's not even cute anymore.
There's no other way to say it.
Yeah,
you have to win. They have to. If they, let's say they go 10-2 or 11-2 because they win the Big 12 and they just miss out on the playoff, okay. Then you can start talking about, okay, Texas is really like getting back into that conversation. Anything lower than that is unacceptable. They have the roster, they have the talent, they have the offensive and defensive line, which they lacked the past few years. This is the Texas team. This is it. Last year wasn't. We were wrong. The year before that, we were wrong. This is the team. And if you don't do it, it's on you, Quinn Ewers, unless you get injured, of course. I don't want you to get injured.
And by the way, not to mention, depending on how you feel about Oklahoma coming into this year, but Oklahoma was bad last year. So it's not like Oklahoma went back to the college football playoff and Texas lost to them. And you're like, okay, well, that's fine. Look at what Oklahoma was able to do. Yeah, they beat the shit out of Oklahoma, but it's open. But I will say this, Katie, another thing I will say, mark my words, and Brandon's already said it. Even if Texas doesn't beat Texas is back this year, Jack will be back on it because of Arch Manning.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame him.
He's not dead. It's not dead. It'll just be Quinn Ewers is dead. They're like, no.
I'm not giving it up. I'm never giving it up.
Casey, Brandon, do you see the photo of the quarterback room?
First of all, yeah, I think they should bench every player in there who isn't the guy on the far left. My brain's out of room right now.
Isn't it not Markel Washington?
I haven't seen what photo you're talking about, unless I am not picturing what you're.
Malik Murphy.
Malik Murphy. That's
what
correct.
picture are you talking about?
You haven't seen it with Arch Manning? They're all shirtless and they're flexing.
I will say Arch Manning at one point looked like a pole, and now he looks like I'm no longer a teenager genes kicked in.
Oh no, I have not seen that photo. Now if I look at it closely, I'm gonna feel like a creep.
Look at the fact that you got Quinn Ewers, you got Arch.
Quinn Ewers needs the mullet.
Oh yeah,
he needs the mullet.
Every single person needs to just fall off that cliff that we were talking about. If you're not,
how could you stand next to Malik Murphy?
Malik Murphy is a grown ass fucking man.
I'm sorry, that being on your bench, like you got to find a way to get him in the game, bro. I don't know how, but that guy needs to be in the game.
Also, isn't Arch Manning like 6'4"?
Yeah.
How tall is Malik Murphy?
6'7", I think, or 6'6".
Holy shit!
All right,
he makes them look
Katie,
short.
Who's your number one?
Number one,
it's fucking hot.
Barstool athlete Jordan Travis.
Hell yeah, Katie.
Everything Casey said, but I think I am very personally high in Florida State this year. Very high in Florida on Jordan Travis. I'll put on Twitter when I officially do it, but right now he's my Heisman future pick. Subject to change, but I'm very excited to see what he does, and he does it for me. I think he's great.
All right, everybody got their lists because let's read them. Let's recap them for the people. All right, my number 10 was.
Let's go in order of like one.
Oh, just go. Okay, my number one was Joe Milton. My number 2, Carson Beck. 3 was Quinn Ewers. 4, Cade Klubnik. 5 was Will Rogers. 6, DJ Uiagalelei. 7, Chandler Morris. 8, Drew Aller. 9, Alabama starting quarterback. And 10, Shedeur Sanders.
I'll be honest, I didn't write down exactly what my order was because I was just going off of my list here, but I believe it was number 1, Jordan Travis, number 2, Cade Klubnik, number 3, Sam Hartman, number 4, Carson Beck, number 5, Joe Milton, I believe, number 6, Dylan Gabriel, number 7, Quinn Ewers, number 8, Shedeur Sanders, and I did Drew Aller too.
No, Jaden Daniels was your number 10.
How did I mess up?
I can do your reverse order. It's Jaden Daniels, Sanders, Quinn Ewers, DJ.
I didn't have
Joe
DJ.
Milton. You talked about him at least. I was in the notes.
I didn't have DJ.
We can pull the track.
Whatever, we'll pull.
Well, Casey fucked it up for everybody. So
No, I didn't.
Jack, what's
like
your
my
list?
list isn't numbered. It's just a bunch of random
Well,
scribblings.
why wasn't it numbered, Smith?
Well, because I was just reading off. My 1 through 5 is numbered, and then my 6, 7, 8, and 9 and 10. I fucking know. Okay.
Jack.
My number are, we're going 1 through 10.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, 1. Number 2, Drew Allert. Number 3, Joe Milton. Number 4, Sam Hartman. Number 5 was the Alabama quarterback, Simpson, Milroe, Buckner. 6, Carson Beck. 7, DJ Uiagalelei. Number 8, Spencer Rattler. Number 9, Graham Mertz. Number 10, Tanner Mordecai. That's how you do it really quick, really fast.
Katie, do faster than him.
Jordan Travis, Sam Hartman, Drew Allard, Tanner Mordecai, Devin Leary, DJ, Peyton Thorne, Spencer Rattler, Jack Plummer, and Jeff Sims.
It was faster, but it was easier because you didn't do the numbers, so you kind of cheated.
I mean, it's easier. Work
I really
smarter,
fucked
not
that
harder.
up.
Yeah, you did. But let me tell you something.
2-minute drill.
No. Before we get to the 2-minute drill, how about delicious food? You ever think about that?
Yes.
Delicious food, taking a bite out of summer with HelloFresh, the #1 meal service kit in this country. They've got chef-crafted seasonal recipes to their new fresh and fit summer menu. HelloFresh brings flavor right to your door. They send you a box, and that box is delicious food. It's organized. There's a recipe card, and in 30 minutes or less, you're going to follow that card with the prepackaged ingredients, and you're going to have a delicious home-cooked meal. Isn't that right, Casey Smith?
It is right, and I love HelloFresh. I pay for it because it is so delicious, and you can go on and pick your menu whenever you need. As I've said a million times, I'll say it again, love the Sloppy Joes, but I love that every season they have very seasonal options as well as the classics, and you don't have to go to the grocery store. It comes all pre-portioned. It's the best for a reason, and it will come to any place that you live, house, apartment, whatever you want, straight to your door, and it's damn delicious, Brandon.
Speaking of seasonal options, how about making your house the hangout place this summer with crowd-pleasing eats like a backyard bratwurst bar to tangy key lime pie? HelloFresh Market makes summer entertaining a cinch. It's peak time for summer produce, and HelloFresh makes sure you get all the best picks all season long. Their ingredients travel from the farm to your door in less than 7 days for quality you can taste. Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker50. Walker50. Use code Walker50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Go HelloFresh.com/Walker50. Use code Walker50 for 50% off plus free shipping. 2-minute drill. Are you ready?
It is so hot.
I know that you guys are hot. We're on 2 hours.
But I
so
can't
I'm
take
gonna go
this off
quickly.
because I'm sweating.
I'm going to go fast. Number 1, are you ready?
Yes.
If all 12 of your team's football games had to be at the exact same kickoff time, which one would you choose?
3 o'clock.
Would you choose noon, 3, 6, the CBS game at 2:30? Which one would you choose? But all 12 have to be at that time.
3:30.
No, the answer is 6, guys. The answer
is 6. It's
the
6.
answer is early evening.
I get anxious. I wanted to see it happen.
You want to get it going, huh?
I hate the morning game, and then I know 6 is not the super late kickoff, but I like that afternoon to have something to look forward to with your game. And if it ends horribly, you have the night slate to look forward to from like a fan standpoint, but you're also your day is not completely ruined one way or the other, and you're not exhausted. By the time we get to the night games, I am exhausted. And if I have to root for my team on top of also watching all the other ones, but I mean, 6 o'clock is fine. As long as it's not the morning game. To be honest, I'll take any kickoff other than the 11-12 kickoff or the 9 p.m. one. That one also stinks out loud.
It's also selfish. Like at noon, so much information is like the hours from, at least in Eastern, 11 to noon is just like the information floodgates of who's not starting, who is injured, who's this, that, that I want people to focus on my team. At that point, it's just straight sitting on Twitter and refreshing and making sure you don't miss anything for your
Katie,
bets.
that's very specific to your job.
Yes.
Or gamblers.
That's true. Okay. Number 2, if you were a 5-star recruit, rank these in order of importance: playing time, coaching staff, NIL money.
Number 4,
NFL.
NFL. That's the only thing I would care about.
Okay. Well, guess what, guys? That wasn't on the fucking list. All right? So you can't just add something to my list when I said rank these in order of importance. Playing time, coaching staff, NIL money.
And probably coaching staff, because that's most probably correlated with the NFL. They have that history. I'm being accurate.
Brandon, I will answer your question. It would be number 1, playing time. Number 2, NIL money. Number 3, coaching staff.
Yeah. I think I'd do coaching staff, NIL, playing time. Because with the right coaches, and if I'm getting the right amount of money, I'll probably get the playing time at a certain point.
Yeah, it's also like the getting playing time is like sophomore, junior. It's a freshman.
Number 3. Forget their records right now. Forget their standing in this country. If you could magically make one rivalry game this year, number 1 versus number 2, you can touch any rivalry in this country and make it number 1 versus number 2. Which one would you choose? And you can't choose your own.
Oh.
It's the Egg Bowl.
Well, you can't choose your own because you guys don't fucking play, Casey.
Well, give us a fucking year, Brandon.
The Egg Bowl.
Auburn, Alabama. Iron Bowl.
Iron Bowl? They've done that before.
They've done it. The Egg Bowl, it's never like...
You didn't say no precedent.
Egg Bowl would be so good because like y'all wouldn't know how to act. Like it would literally be like, no, we need to cover the entire week. We need to be looking everywhere because boy, that could be like it could be hell on earth in there. It would be a civil war.
They wouldn't act like they'd ever been there before because no one would expect them to be.
And there would be no way for them to.
It would be beautiful. Can you imagine the way that Ben Mintz would act?
Well, he's not allowed to act on Barstool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. I know that this is like not out of the realm of like possibility in the past, but for it being this year, I would love to see Texas and OU at number 1 and number 2, even though I know they're in the same conference, so it's kind of impossible. However, to know that that rivalry would be who won a national title the last year that before they go to the SEC would be awesome to watch. The Red River Shootout, rivalry, whatever, PC, is one of the best games of the year. And they hate each other so much, and to have them playing for a national title would be sick.
West Virginia, Penn State, too.
You mean Pitt?
Pitt.
Yeah, that one.
Number 4.
My brain went this time.
All right, Casey.
It's too hot.
We're on a road trip. I send you inside to buy a candy bar. What are you bringing out?
Reese's.
God, see, this is why.
Actually, that's a bad answer because it's going to melt in a hot car.
Terrible answer. It's not. First of all, it's not a candy bar.
Well, yeah, if I'm going, it's next to the candy bars. It's literally right between like the fucking Snickers and whatever else.
I would have done the roll of double stuffed Oreo, so I'm with you.
What? That's not candy.
Answer the question.
That's not candy.
Payday.
I don't like candy bars.
That's an actual answer. It's a terrible candy bar to pick, but that's an actual answer.
I also
what do you
I would
call
do
Reese's?
Milky Way. It's not a candy bar. There's two individual. We're talking about
They
bars.
have Reese's candy bars.
Yeah, but
by
those are a joke. Okay,
I said candy bar. I clearly said candy bar.
Reese's Take 5 then.
I hate you so. I hate you.
Okay, what would yours be?
Me?
Yeah.
Snickers.
All right. I'm changing mine to Milky Way.
Or Twix. I like Twix.
I like Twix too.
That's not really a bar.
That's a bar. It's 2 bars.
No, I was wrong. I was wrong. Hand up.
Really.
Okay,
Hand
all
up.
right. It's hot in here.
Really.
Hand up
It's
halfway
so
because
hot.
if I put it up all the way, you're gonna see.
That's why I haven't taken my over's jacket off because the sweat that's happening.
Somebody needs to be fired for this.
Last time. Last question. Now I'll let y'all go. So summer day, Casey Smith. You're on vacation. You have no work concerns. What is your ideal day?
Oh my God, just laying at the beach with somebody bringing me ice cold drinks all day. Just at a beautiful, all-inclusive resort where the food's actually good and I can just lay in my bikini on the beach and look at a beautiful ocean and not have to get up unless I want to.
Yeah, I'd be very similar. I think I would probably be at beach earlier in the day, just with like a small group of people, then to the pool.
The swim up bar.
And then also all food's made. And then that night you go to like a really nice restaurant and the vibes are very high in a nice beach town that is, fun to be around.
Minimal effort.
Then you smoke a cigar that night.
Minimal effort.
Mine would be fishing in the morning and then podcasting with my friends in the afternoon.
Katie, can you make him feel stupid?
I unfortunately was gonna go somewhere similar.
Oh,
No, hold on. Not this group. Just also, if I'm assuming it's like this time of year, I would like.
God damn it. Hers is going to be reading preseason magazines and shit.
I gotta go. I got you people.
I need the time. I want to read. I don't have time.
Hers is building previews for Pick'em.
He just said work is not a concern, Katie.
It's not work to her. That's why she's so good.
I want to read the page 6 previews. It comes out, I think, on Friday or Saturday.
Read
All
it
right.
on the train, Katie.
I don't have time.
That's unnecessary roughness. We'll be back next week. No, we'll be back,
We'll be back
Thursday.
this week.
Thursday.
We'll be back Thursday.
Yeah.
I thought we were recording Wednesday.
Recording
Okay,
Wednesday,
Jack.
dropping
Shit.
Thursday.
Just let me tell him bye.